Hey guys, I'm Hannah Ryan, co-founder of Financially Engaged, and today I'm going to walk you through how to use the debt payoff plan. I highly recommend watching this video all the way through because I'll explain how each section is designed to work and answer a lot of common questions that come up along the way. So with that, let's dive in. First, navigate to the folder on your computer where you save the debt payoff plan and then double-click to open it. And when you're prompted, click Enable Macros. The macros handle all the behind-the-scenes calculations for you, so you don't have to deal with any of the formulas. It's really important to always click Enable Macros whenever it pops up. And if you ever see options like Enable Content or Enable Editing, go ahead and enable those too. So once you're in, you'll land on the first tab, which is a quick overview of the three main debt payoff methods available in the plan. First, we have the Avalanche method, which focuses on paying off your highest interest rate debts first. This is the fastest and most cost-effective way to become debt-free. Next, we have the Snowball method, which focuses on your smallest balances first. Many people like this one because those quick wins help build momentum, even though it takes a little bit longer overall. And lastly, we have the custom method, which gives you full control to choose your own payoff order based on your goals or motivation. Don't worry about choosing a method just yet. This tab is simply here to help you understand how each one works before we start entering your numbers. Next, we'll move to the second tab where you'll start inputting your individual debts. Step 1 is to input today's date and your individual debt details. I'll click here and input today's date. Then I'll come down to this grid and start entering all the details for each debt. You can add up to 25 different debts here, and I'll do a couple of examples. The first one is a Great Lakes student loan. Whose debt is it? I'll say it's mine. The type of debt is a drop-down, so I'll select student debt here. Then it asks if it's a fixed rate debt. I'll say yes. That means the interest rate will not change over the life of the loan. If you ever see a red triangle in the corner of a cell like here, that means there's a hidden comment. You can hover over it to read any extra notes or guidance. The next column is your debt balance remaining. For this one, I'll enter $36,000. Then we have today's interest rate, so let's say 9%. You'll notice that the future rate columns are grayed out because we said this is a fixed rate debt, so it's not going to change in the future. We'll just skip over the grayed out columns and then we'll enter our required minimum payment. So let's put $550 for this one. And the custom payoff order column is only used if you plan to pay off your debts in your own custom order, meaning you're not using the Avalanche or Snowball methods. I'll leave that blank for now and circle back later. Next, let's add one more example together, an Amex credit card. Let's say this one is Brady's debt, so I'll put his name here. In the type of debt column, I'll choose credit card. Is it a fixed rate debt? For this one, I'll say no. The debt balance remaining is $23,410. And for today's interest rate, let's put 0% since many credit cards offer a 0% teaser rate at first, but after that promotional period ends, the rate often jumps up. So for this one, let's say on March 1st, 2026, the interest rate jumps up to 18.99%. Then for the required minimum payment, I'll put $750. Now I'm going to stop the recording here and just copy and paste a few more examples so you don't have to watch me type them all in. Okay, I added a Mazda car loan, a U.S. bank home mortgage, a furniture loan, a federal student loan, and a past due medical bill. Once you have all your debts entered, you can move on to the next tab. Or if you don't want to follow the Avalanche or Snowball order, you can create your own custom payoff order here. For example, let's say you really hate having a car loan and no matter what the numbers say, you want to pay off that debt first. This is where you'd assign your custom order, so we'd put a 1 next to the car loan and then decide the order for the rest of the debts. I'll go ahead and fill that out now so you can see what it looks like. So once you have all your debts entered, you can click here to move on to the next tab. This is the Input Extra Payments tab, and in my opinion, it's the most powerful part of the entire debt payoff plan. So have you ever wondered, when will I be debt-free? Or if I make extra payments, how much sooner will I pay it off? I know that when I was paying off my own student loans, I asked myself those questions all the time, but I never had a tool that could give me clear answers, which is exactly why we built this. So let's walk through how the scenario analysis works. We have two different scenarios you can compare. The snapshot scenario, which is like a version you want to save and refer back to, and your current scenario, which will update live as we play around with adding extra payments. Right now, we haven't added anything yet in step 3 or 4, so the current scenario is showing for each payoff method, Avalanche, Snowball, and Custom, how much interest is remaining and when you'll be debt-free, assuming you only make the required minimum payments from the last tab. So let's say we want to save the scenario as our baseline to refer back to later. In step 2, we'll click the yellow snapshot button, and that copies the numbers from the current scenario into the snapshot scenario. Now we can go to step 3 and step 4 and start playing around with adding extra payments, anything you're adding on top of the required monthly minimums, to really see how that changes your payoff timeline. Step 3 is for extra one-off payments. You'll input the date and the amount of those payments. For example, let's say we're planning to get a tax refund in March of 2026 of $3,000, and we want to put that towards our debt payments. And then let's say in December of 2026, we expect a holiday bonus of $2,000, and we'll use that as another extra debt payment. Those are both one-off extra payments. Step 4 is where you can add an extra recurring monthly payment. So for example, let's say you want to pay an extra $100 every single month towards your debt. Again, in addition to those required minimums, you'd input that here. You'll see the current scenario updating live as we add those extra payments in step 3 and step 4. Now we can compare this updated current scenario to the snapshot scenario we saved earlier, which was just our scenario where we're only paying the required minimum monthly payments. In the snapshot scenario, our interest remaining was $49,841. But in the current scenario, after adding the extra payments, our interest remaining is only $41,888. That means we'd save about $7,953 in total interest by making those extra payments. And under the snapshot scenario, we'd be debt-free in September of 2032, but with the current scenario and those extra payments, our debt-free date moves up to March of 2032, which is 6 months sooner. You can see the same analysis for each method, so Avalanche, Snowball, and Custom. And one quick thing to note, you'll notice some conditional formatting in the current scenario row. The method with the least interest and the earliest payoff date will automatically highlight in green. The others show in red, which means they're not the fastest or cheapest options. Finally, step 5 is all about reviewing the differences between Avalanche, Snowball, and Custom. You can keep tweaking your extra payments and snapshotting new scenarios to see what makes the most sense for you. For example, right now our current scenario includes the extra one-off payments of $3,000 and $2,000 plus that $100 recurring monthly payment. We're comparing this against our snapshot scenario, which is a scenario that had no extra payments, just paying the required minimums. If we decide that we want to save this current scenario, we can click the yellow snapshot button again. And again, when we do that, the current scenario will replace the previous snapshot. So you'll always be comparing just 2 scenarios at a time, your most recent current scenario and your latest snapshot. Then let's say you want to test another change, maybe bump that extra monthly payment from $100 up to, let's say, $300. You can now immediately see how much faster you'll pay off your debt. We went from March 2032 to October 2031, which is 5 months sooner, or how much interest you'll save by bumping up that extra payment from $100 to $300 a month. This setup keeps things clean and easy to interpret as you experiment with different payment amounts and payoff methods. But once you've decided what you're comfortable with in terms of how much extra you can pay and which method fits best, that's when you'll choose your payoff method and move forward. So for this example, we'll move forward with the Avalanche method. I'm just going to go to the top and click the Avalanche button here to go to the next tab. And because we clicked the Avalanche button on the Extra Payments tab, 4 new hidden Avalanche tabs have opened up. If we had selected a different method, those respective tabs would have opened instead. You can always right-click on any tab and choose Hide if you want to hide that tab again. So what we're looking at here is the Avalanche Track Progress tab. At the top, you'll see the current summary of debt by type, and you can see the total debt here is $223,600. When you first open this, the lower grid will be blank. I've pre-populated this one to show debt progress over time. All you have to do is to click this button and your current debt status from the top grid will automatically copy down into the tracker below. You can do this as frequently as you want, but I recommend updating it at least once a month so you can see how your balances are changing over time. And as you pay down your debt and keep tracking your progress, you'll see this chart on the right fill up with color. And when it reaches the top, you'll officially be debt-free. Next, we can click over to the Charts tab. This tab is where you can see all of your debt payoff data come to life. And so before doing anything on this tab, it's really important to make sure your other tabs are up to date, specifically the Input Debt tab with your most recent balances and the Input Extra Payments tab with any one-time or recurring extra payments you've planned. Once both of those are updated, you can come here and click the Click to Refresh Charts button. That button will automatically pull in your most recent information and update all of the visuals on this page. So at the top, you'll see your debt-free date, the number of debts outstanding, your total debt remaining, and your interest remaining. Then below that, you'll see your data displayed a few different ways. On the left, there's a chart showing your remaining interest by loan type. This helps you see which debts are costing you the most in interest going forward. Then you'll see your debt balance by loan type, which breaks down where your total debt is spread. For example, how much is student loans versus mortgage or credit cards. Below that is your total debt balance history. This chart pulls from your Track Progress tab, so as you record updates over time, you'll see this line gradually move lower and lower, showing your progress toward becoming debt-free. Next, you'll see the number of payment months remaining. For example, our credit card currently shows 21 more months of payments until it's paid off. Below that, you'll see next month's debt payment by debt type. This breaks down how much you'll be paying toward each loan next month. For example, our mortgage payment is $1,450 and our student loans total $783. And finally, the chart on the far right shows next month's debt payment by payment type. Here you can see we'll be making $3,383 in required minimum payments, plus an additional $300 in extra payments. That's the recurring amount we set earlier on the Extra Payments tab. Now we can click to check out the Avalanche Summary tab. This tab is for review only. You don't need to and shouldn't type or change anything on this tab. Everything on this page automatically pulls from the details you've already entered. Your debts on the Input Debt tab and your extra payments on the Input Extra Payments tab. The Avalanche Summary tab sorts your debt from the highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, since that's the order the Avalanche method pays them off. You'll see each debt listed with its balance remaining, interest remaining, payoff month, and number of months left until it's fully paid off. And over on the right, you'll see your next month's debt payments. This section shows your estimated payments, the actual amounts you'll personally be paying towards each debt next month. It breaks down your minimum payments, any additional payments, and your total payment for each debt. You'll notice that the extra $300 payment we set earlier is automatically being applied to your highest interest rate debt, in this case, the Amex credit card. So this tab gives you a clear view of how your Avalanche plan is working and exactly how much you'll be sending to each lender next month. And finally, let's look at the Avalanche Schedule tab. This tab is for those who really want to get into the details of your debt payoff plan. If seeing all these numbers feels like too much, don't worry, you can totally skip this tab. It's just here for anyone who likes a deep dive. But I'll give you a quick spin through what you're looking at. At the top, you'll see your months listed down the left-hand side, starting from where you are today and running all the way until you're debt-free. The first few columns show your minimum payment rollover, meaning as you pay off one debt, the minimum payment from that debt automatically rolls over to the next highest interest rate debt. For example, our Amex credit card minimum payment is $750. Once we pay that off, that $750 gets rolled into the next debt. And you'll see that happen starting in September of 2027. You can also see any extra one-off payments and any extra recurring payments. For instance, we have one-off payments showing in March and December of 2026, and you'll see that extra $300 monthly payment repeating every single month throughout the schedule. Then each debt has its own section with all details for every month. The start of month balance, the minimum payment, any additional payment, the total payment for that month, the monthly interest charge, and the end of month balance. You can literally watch each loan balance get smaller and smaller until it reaches zero, showing exactly how your debts amortize over time. All right, that's a wrap on your debt payoff plan walkthrough. I know this was a lot of information, but if you've made it this far, you now have everything you need to create your own personalized payoff plan and actually see your progress toward becoming debt-free. Whether you're just getting started or you're halfway there, this tool is designed to keep you focused, motivated, and confident that every payment is moving you closer to your goals. If you found this helpful and are already loving the debt payoff plan, I'd love to hear about it. Send me a quick DM on Instagram or tag me in your story and let me know what you think. Your feedback and reviews help me so much, and I genuinely love celebrating your progress. And remember, if you ever get stuck, you can always check the guidance or troubleshoot tabs or email me support@financiallyengaged.com for extra help.